Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm just going to do a little quick intro. This is just going to be my 1,000 subscriber thank you video. I did a poll on YouTube and I had you guys ask me some questions, so it'll be a little bit of a Q&A, but yeah, I just wanted to tell everybody how much I really appreciate everybody that's been subscribing lately, and I honestly never thought I was going to reach 1,000, and I'm over 1,000. I'm over 1,300, so that is amazing to me. So yeah, this is going to be a very quick video, and we're just going to jump into it. First off, if you're new, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed. And then before I get into the questions, if you guys could leave me a comment. I've been curious how people found my channel. So if you could leave me a comment on what video you watched and how you found my channel. I'm just curious. So yeah, leave me those comments down below. And we are going to get into the Q&A. Now, I wrote the questions down as people posted them. So that's just the order they're in. I don't have a ton, so this shouldn't be too terribly long, but the first question I got asked was, how did Mike and I meet? I've been asked this question before. We met on a blind date. We have a mutual friend. He's a guy that I went to junior high and high school with, and then Mike became friends with him later. And I wasn't dating anybody, and he told me he had a single friend, so he set us up, and we went out to dinner one night, and yeah, that's it. So Mike and I were set up on a blind date by a mutual friend. So yeah, that's how we met. I had some questions on what do I use on my skin to make it so bright and glowy. I use a combination, and I try and clean my face and moisturize it before I go to bed. I think that makes a difference. But when I do my makeup, I've been using like my Pixie Glow Mist as like a makeup primer. One of the glowy primers I use is the First Aid, the coconut. It has a little bit of a sheen to it. Let me squirt some out. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to. It gives it, like, it's got a little bit of almost like a highlighter in it. Let me put some more on here so you can really see. So you can see just the difference with that. So I generally will use this, and then I also like the e.l.f. That's not the glowy one. I use a lot of glowy products. The e.l.f. the illuminating primer. It's got like little micro, let me put it on this side, like micro glitter in it. So I put that on top. So then that has a glow. So we're like triple glowing at this point. And then I will set my face a lot of times with, I have the e.l.f. What are you? The Halo Glow. It's like a glowy powder. And then on top of that, sometimes I'll use my Revolution Pro Skin Finish. This is a dupe for the Hourglass Ambient Lighting powders. And then the MAC, whatever theirs is called, but it's, let me put it, so you can see that has some glow to it. So all of those together, like there's a lot of glow. And then when I do my setting sprays, I'll use the Cover FX, the illuminating one, and this has like micro glitter in it. And then either the Watermelon Glow Mist, which is dewy, or another good one is the Skin & Co. the Radiant. So when I'm done with my base and my powder, I'll go in with a glowy primer. And then when I'm all done with my makeup, I'll go in with like either the Stay-In spray from Tarte. I really like the Urban Decay All Nighter. This is probably like the 4th one I've used. The Milani Make It Last. Something that's really gonna lock it in, because I do go in with the, I don't like to leave it with just the glowy primers because I feel like it doesn't stay as well. But yeah, I use a lot of, it probably seems overkill, but I really like a good glow. So that's how I get so glowy and dewy. It's just a lot of like glow products. And then for skincare, I use the pineapple one from Glow Recipe. And then Pharmacy, their Glowy Night Serum. I interchange those. I moisturize, I exfoliate, I use a vitamin C serum too, so those also help. And yeah, so that's what I use on my skin. I had some questions the other day about my lighting and why my eyes looked so glassy. I do have my contacts in, so that could be part of it. But as far as lighting, there's obviously no natural light in this room because the windows are closed. But I have overhead lighting right here, like just normal lights. Like I can turn the camera like in the bedroom. And then I have that little lamp. You can see my coffee and my mess. And then just this, it's just a big fluorescent bulb all the way like above my desk. And that's it. I do have a ring light. I still have it. It sits over in my corner over here. I don't use it anymore. I got a better camera. And I feel like with the lighting that I have, especially with the one right above me right here, I don't need the ring light. So I really haven't been using it. But it's all artificial, and it's, I think, because the fluorescent bulb is like literally shining in my face, and then I have my contacts in, it's just making my eyes look super glassy. But that's my lighting. Like I said, I do own a ring light. I just haven't felt the need to use it since I've upgraded my camera. I've had questions about my nails. This wasn't one listed in my like poll, but I did the dip nails before. Now that's what I have again. Now the only difference is this set that I'm wearing, I did myself. I bought all the stuff. Now the nail salons are open, but I've been kind of worried about going back and then people getting shut down or whatever. So I have all the stuff to do my own dip, and I have had requests to take the camera with me when I go to the salon. So if anybody is still interested in a nail video, let me know, because like I said, I do have all the stuff so I could film it now that I've done kind of a trial run and kind of know what I'm doing. So yeah, if anybody is interested in a nail video, also you can let me know down below. I had a question about how I felt about living with my in-laws, because Mike and I lived with his parents for about a year before we bought the house. I moved in with them when I was pregnant with Diana, and we lived there until she was, I think, she was like 4 or 5 months old, I think, when we bought the house and moved out. I didn't mind living with my in-laws. I had issues living with my sister-in-law. It was very much a clash. I'm 35, she's 21. So when I moved in with them, she was like 19, I think. So it was very much, you know, there's a big age gap. She was very much still a teenager, and there was just personality conflicts and cleaning conflicts. And it, you know, I'm a very clean, tidy person. The house is always clean. So when you live with somebody that's not at the same level, there's issues with that. And it's, you know, not your house. And so, yeah, I didn't necessarily have issues with my in-laws per se. There was clashes with my sister-in-law. So I'm thankful that we are in our own space and I have control over my own space. At one point, Mike had wanted me to potentially move back in with his parents just because he's a truck driver and he's gone all the time, and he felt bad that I was by myself. But again, my sister-in-law was still living there at the time, so I was like, absolutely not. I will stay by myself, which sounds really terrible, but I mean, there's always going to be people in life that you don't get along with. Sometimes there are people that are family and sometimes there's not. So I don't think she watches my videos, so she probably won't ever see that comment. But yeah, that I'm just being real there. Her and I don't get along, and it was difficult. We got along up until I moved in and lived with her, and then the relationship just deteriorated after that. So yeah, I didn't really necessarily have a problem with my in-laws per se. It was more my sister-in-law was still living there. So it is what it is. I'm happy we're in our own place, so don't judge me too harshly. Okay. The next one was just my likes and why I got into YouTube. I started doing YouTube, I think right before I started dating Mike. I was living alone and I was watching a lot of YouTube, and it just kind of seemed like fun to talk about. You know, I started doing BoxyCharm unboxings right away just because it was easy content, and those videos are still up on my channel. So if you're curious to see what my first videos look like, if you scroll all the way down, they're still there. I've never taken them off. I can't watch them. They're very cringy. It took me about a year, I think, to get comfortable seeing myself in the viewfinder. You're essentially sitting talking to yourself, looking at yourself. So the looking at myself, it took me about a year to get used to seeing my face and my expressions, but I did it because I was living alone and it seemed like fun, and it was just something to do in my spare time, and it's still a hobby. Again, Mike is gone a lot, so videos for me, like it's Monday, Diana's in preschool, I'm off today. It's a hobby. It gives me something to do. I've always really enjoyed makeup. It's a creative outlet for me. So yeah, filming just kind of occupies my time. Like if I'm bored at night, I'll film a video. I used to paint. I used to water paint, and I don't paint. I haven't painted in a long time. I have all the stuff. That bag that's on the stool is all water painting stuff that Mike got me. Eyeshadow and contouring and doing, it's makeup for me is painting on my face. I get that creative outlet from it, that I used to get from painting. So that's why I like makeup, and I think that's why I have so many eyeshadow palettes, is because I used to paint, and it's a creative outlet for me because I haven't drawn or painted in a while. So makeup for me is that outlet. I do like movies. I like horror movies. That's why I have been trying to incorporate horror content. I also really like 80s movies. The 80s is my favorite decade. I love the neon, the big hair, all of that. The 80s teen movies are some of my favorite. And yeah, I like stuffed animals. I like The Nightmare Before Christmas and Beetlejuice. So that's mainly what's on that table back there. It's just hard to see. At some point, I would like to get a setup where I have that in the background because it's a really nice little table, but I don't quite have an area where I could have that behind me where you could see it really well. I like Batman, so I have my little like Joker teddy bear over there that Mike bought me. And so yeah. But to answer the question about YouTube, I got into it as it's just a hobby, and I think that's how a lot of people got started, something to do, and it's still a hobby. And then the very last question I got, and this was a hard one, was if I could only keep 5 eyeshadow palettes, which ones would I keep and why? And 5 is a very small number. Now, once upon a time, I did own only 5, but I'm very far removed from that number, like very far removed. So this is my little pile. I'm sure there's one in here that nobody is surprised to see. And I almost forgot about it. And then I saw it, I was like, oh, I cannot. So we'll just do the smallest to the biggest. I went with the Huda Beauty Smoke Obsessions. I wanted a neutral palette, and there's 2 neutral ones. I mean, technically the Alien palette's a neutral palette, but we'll get into that later. I use this one a lot. I've traveled with this one a lot. It's just, you know, it's got the browns, it's got a black. The shimmers in here are really nice. The silver's a little bit chunky, but it's very blindy. So it's a good palette. This is from Huda Beauty. So this is probably, I was going to go with the Mauve Obsession, and then I ended up picking a Kaleidos palette instead, but I use this one a lot, and this is just like a neutral everyday palette that's good, and it's small. I like that most of the palettes I picked are not terribly large. The next one, I went with the Kaleidos 3. This is my favorite. This is the Futurism 3 Astro Pink. And this, I'm going to do a video where I rank all of my Kaleidos palettes, but this is what she looks like. So we've got a couple of like mauve-y neutrals. There's a berry shade, and then you've got the shimmers and like the glittery black. This pink and this blue that are in here are just insane. Kaleidos is coming out with a new collection on the 11th, and I'm still debating what I'm going to get from it, but there's the two. And you can see how they compare to the Huda Beauty, but they're just pretty, and the matte formula is really nice. And so I wanted a mauve palette because I do like mauves. And this one's like, it's only 6 shades, but it's very, very versatile, I feel like. So I went with that. And then I decided I wanted a green. Mike's favorite color is green, and I like a mossy green. So I went with the Futurism one, the Sci-Fi green from Kaleidos, just because I haven't used my Melt palette. This is very reminiscent of Melt's Gemini, which again I haven't used. So there's that. Let me take the clear sheet off. So you've got kind of a mustard. I love a good mustard shade. You've got the 2 shimmers. There's a really good black in here, and then you've got 2 different greens, and it just gives you very mossy vibes. I think Mike would prefer when I wear green, like to do true green. I don't know if he really likes the mossy look, but that's the 90s kid in me, like the mossy grungy tones. So this one's a really good one, and it's small, it's compact. So there is that. And then for colorful palettes, I went with Jawbreaker. Now this isn't necessarily, it doesn't have some of my favorite formulas in it, but this is probably the rainbow palette that I tend to use the most. Like most of the rainbow tutorials that I've done recently have been with this, and I've been copying other people's looks, and they didn't use this palette, but I'm able to copy other people's rainbow looks using just this palette. So like Delicious is a little bit temperamental, but it's a pressed pigment, and so is Licorice, I believe. But other than that, you've got like pastel shades in here, like with the blues to kind of blend that out. You've got the red and then the berries, tons of shimmer. I love Jawbreaker. It's just this really pretty, like white, iridescent, like almost duochrome-y shade. It's got a little bit of like a shift to it right there. I don't know. It's just a really good palette. And like I said, I'm able to do most rainbow looks with just this palette. And then last, I couldn't not pick the Alien palette. Everybody, I'm sure by now, knows that this is one of my favorite palettes. I'm really sad. I'm really, really sad. Like, it hurts me a lot that he discontinued this palette. I'm really hoping he brings it back. It's a neutral palette to me. This is a neutral palette with some pops of color. The purple is a little temperamental. I don't know if this has pressed pigments in it or not. I don't know. I've had this for a long time and I don't have the cardboard, but Interstellar and Pluto are and I'll swatch them below Jawbreaker so you can see the difference. But there's Jawbreaker, and then there's Interstellar is very close to it. It's a little bit deeper. Jawbreaker's a little bit lighter. Not a ton, but yeah, you can see. And then Moonrock, UFO, I really like Abduction, and Martian Soil. Again, I like a good mustard shade. I like that you've got some of these warm tones, but then you can also do cooler looks. I like that X-Files is kind of a taupe, so you can use it with the warm colors, or you can use it with the cool colors, with like Ghost, OG, Tall Gray, and then Black Hole. I don't know why that's like my favorite name for a black. Probe is also a really cool, like interesting duochrome shade. I like using Probe on my lower lash line. Like, it's just so pretty. I used this palette. I did a collab video a while ago with The Truth, who is on YouTube. We reviewed an Alien movie, and I used this palette, and the look that I did in that video is one of my like favorite all-time eye looks ever. And I used mainly the sandy colors and like Interstellar, and I think I did a little bit of Probe on the bottom, but it's just a really pretty palette, and I'm sad that they discontinued it. But I think this is one that people liked this palette, or they didn't. Like, I love every shade in here. Like I said, I can make the purple work. The packaging's a little bit annoying. Like the alien head wouldn't bother me quite so much if the eyes were flat. Like it's a cool idea, but it's kind of problematic to store. And then I do have like 2 honorable mentions that I would probably try to sneak in. It would be my little trio. So technically this isn't a palette. This is from the Balm. I use this as a brow bone highlight anytime I need a brow bone highlight or like a transition shade. And then I would want to try and keep the mini breaker just because, and I almost decluttered this and I'm glad I kept it because the purple in Jawbreaker, you've got the lavender and then you've the dark purple Bite Me is shimmery. So if you go in, and I didn't realize this before because I didn't really pay attention. The purples in here are matte and then you've got a couple more. Bite Me's or a peach shade, but there's a couple more pinks. Again, kind of a mustard, another gold, another matte brown, and then yeah, you've got like a true matte purple. So it's a good companion with the full size. So you can pretty much do every rainbow look you could ever want with both palettes. So I would probably try and sneak. Those would be my 2 honorable mentions. But yeah, those are the 5 palettes. If I could only pick 5, and hopefully I answered why. Like, it was hard. I really sat there for a long time picking those. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for leaving me questions. Thank you guys so much for being subscribed again. Leave me a comment down below how you found my channel. That'll help me out. And yeah, hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. My 1,000 subscriber giveaway is still going on, so you will definitely want to make sure you're subscribed and go over and enter that. I will try and remember and link it down below, but that is going on. You get to pick a Norvina volume palette. There's 4 volumes. You pick whichever one you want. If you're chosen, and I will order it and mail it to you. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.